Welcome to today's episode of the Dubai Builder podcast. And today's guest, he will share with us why he initially didn't want to move to Dubai and what actually changed his mind. He's also sharing with us what is this very unique approach of finding great connections in the city. And he's also sharing the mindset shift from treating, even though it's your own business, not just treating it as a sprint and run as fast as possible, but why you should actually approach the marathon mindset. So enjoy today's episode.
My name is Achraf. I am from Tunisia. I studied a typical engineering curriculum, computer science engineering. When I graduated, I had a dream is to start an international career. So I was dreaming to start working with a, multinational company abroad in English with people from all over the world. So I had that dream since I was a student. I was constantly applying to get an internship abroad, and that happened. And that's how I ended up in Germany. And when I finished my internship in Germany, I liked life there. I decided to stay longer, so I was looking for a job. And then fast forward, I spent 12 years there. During that corporate life, I realized how I'm not a good fit. I changed companies 2, 3 times. I was not happy. I was not in my place. I mean, I learned a lot, but I've wanted always to do something on my own and build something, and especially give something back to my home country. That's where I grew up. That's where I studied. That's where my life and family and friends are. So I had this idea of trying to do something back home. And during the 3 to 4 last years of our stay in Germany, my wife and I, we had this idea of creating a travel startup. We are fond of traveling. One of the good things in Germany, and a few of the good things of Germany, is that you have a lot of holiday days, and you have usually a good salary that you could spend on your trips. And that's what we did over 10 years. We visited around 80 countries.
Wow.
And in these countries, we lived something very interesting and unique. I mean, it's not easy to plan or have a great immersive trip off the beaten track in emerging destinations. And everybody wants to do that. But somehow we all end up on these crowded bus tours, watching around, completely disconnected from the country we visited. With some experience, we learned how to find or unlock the hidden gems, how to connect with locals, and then we said, okay, hey, this is a great idea that we could do. And that's how we started our startup, WildyNess, back home, then in Tunisia. That was 2022. And then again, fast forward, the company grew, we raised funds. We said, okay, now we are sort of ready. I mean, startup DNA, sort of ready. We kind of know what we're doing. Time to expand.
Wonderful, great idea.
And that's how we started looking at neighboring countries. We chose carefully countries that are kind of similar in terms of culture and readiness for tourism, in terms of what experiences we are trying to do in these countries. And one of these selected countries is the UAE. It happens that creating a company in the Middle East is easiest in the UAE, especially in Dubai. And that's how we ended up here 1.5 years ago. Totally against moving in here in the first place.
Should we leave that in or cut that out?
Let me continue.
Okay.
2 years ago, my wife, who is also my co-founder, she was like, she is, by the way, the visionary in the couple and the visionary in the project. She is behind all of the big strategic decisions. One of them is, she was like, Achraf, the Middle East is booming. It's a very promising region. We should start something there. I was like, nah, I'm not living in this desert where everything is fake and kind of things. It turned out that I had a lot of prejudice. And how she convinced me is actually by saying, you know what, let's have an exploration trip, 7 days. We go there, we experience life, we do zero tourism, and we see how daily life goes. We connect with some friends. We knew many people who live here. And then basically each day we were having 2, 3 meetups with our friends, collecting insights, collecting opinions, how they find life here. And we got also a grasp of how daily life looks like by working remotely in cafes, by checking out co-working spaces, by discovering neighborhoods. And that's how I changed my idea. And that's how I realized I was full of prejudice, because that was because of what we saw on social media.
Yeah.
I saw back then that there is a normal life here for everyone. You could do whatever you want. There is a lot of possibilities. I loved one of the things that marked me is how ambitious people are who live here. Like for me, it was a realization. It was like a wow thing. Uh, Watching or seeing a cafe where that cafe is full, but it's full of people working at their laptops.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that condensation of people working in cafes anywhere else in the world, and that's how I said, okay, this is the community I want to be part of. It gives me energy, it gives me motivation. I feel surrounded by people who want to make things happen, and that's how I completely changed my idea and my picture about this region, about this country, about this city, and that's how we decided to come up here.
Welcome to Dubai. But I
Thank
agree
you.
that what you see sometimes in the media, in social media, or also like local media, is very different from how life is actually happening here. So there is a
Exactly.
lot of, oh, only the richest are coming and you only have Saturday brunches versus
Yeah.
what you can actually do in that city. And exactly this kind of whole builder vibe is something I'm also very excited about, and why we have this podcast, because there are so many great stories. So you said you were expanding your business now to the UAE.
Yeah.
So what were maybe some of your first steps? So you said you already knew a couple of people here in the city, but how did you expand your network, or was there maybe a friend of yours who kind of introduced you to the Dubai startup scene? So maybe tell about the early days, how it like really got started after your exploration trip.
I have a lot to tell about this. The idea behind WildyNess, the startup, is that we create a marketplace for activities that you don't find anywhere else. And what we wanted to do is nowadays there are a lot of conscious travelers, we call them, people who want to actually go deeper, discover countries, explore cultures, connect with locals, and also have a meaningful trip, right? So that's our expertise. We designed this marketplace to only have these activities listed. We started, of course, in our own backyard, Tunisia. That's the country we know the most. We learned a lot of things there, how to design the right product, how to find the right customer, how to raise funds. And one of the game changers there, what made this business succeed, I can say, is being in the right ecosystem. And Tunisia back then still has very supportive ecosystem, very enriching ecosystem of startups. So that I developed that mindset. And when we were sort of ready to expand, we said, okay, in the UAE, the first thing I will be looking for is a convenient ecosystem, people who look like me, people who are in a similar stage, so that we can learn from each other and don't feel lonely. Entrepreneurship is a very, very lonely journey, and being surrounded with the right people actually is a game changer. How we started here is, first of all, I opened every single event platform I found, and I was browsing events and selecting. I was deliberately letting the algorithm of these platforms know what I'm interested in, so that in the future they will suggest me events that I like.
Yeah.
And that's how I found Travel Buddies, Founders Breakfast. I relied also on my personal network. I knew a couple of people here, and I was like, yeah, I'm starting this business here. Do you know someone? And a lot of things happened very, very organically. One of the examples is I was testing one of these walking tours in the old part of Dubai, and it was a brand new product. Did not exist here. So I reached out in a WhatsApp community back then, and I was like, "Hey, people, I'm trying this pilot experience. Who wanna join and test it together?" One of the participants in that group wrote me directly, and then he said, "Hey, Ashraf, I saw you are active in tourism. I am part of STA, and I would like to meet in person." I was like, "Who's this guy? What is STA?"
What is it?
It was Saudi Tourism Authority.
Okay.
And he was Tunisian. He works now in the Saudi Tourism Authority, but he spent 20 years in the UAE before moving out to Saudi. What he did when he was here, he introduced me to a very talented man called Mohammed Kadhim. He's an artist. He's a professional guide. He's Emirati, and he's full of information about the region. He's a dictionary. You never get bored with his company. So I got introduced to this guy. We spent a very nice afternoon, and that guy introduced me also to another local guide. She was called Khadija. And those introductions, they happen organically when you try actually, when you start doing things, and then you will find yourself in front of the right people. Just start, show up. Don't get isolated. A lot of people do this mistake. I've done it many times because you are so focused on your product, you are so focused on building things and making things look perfect. But the other side, which is the outsider side, is really more important.
True. Okay, so if we just come back, so you said you were browsing a lot of event platforms. Can you
Yeah.
name which ones were this? Like the typical meetup?
Yeah. I liked Meetup in the first place. I got to know Luma here, which is a very famous event platform. Eventbrite, yeah, that one is a game changer. Platinum List.
Okay.
It's a very interesting platform as well. But those are like the giants. You will find a lot of things there. What I found out is listers on these platforms, they are actually small businesses or people. So I made sure I follow these people deliberately, intentionally on other social media so that I can get access to what they share else. And that's how I got connected to many small communities in outdoors, in entrepreneurship, in stand-up comedy. I like watching stand-up comedy. So yeah, reaching out to these people and connecting with them directly on social media helps a lot once you found them on these platforms.
Great. And then you said you came with this idea of the walking tour, and then this was an existing WhatsApp group from one of the people you found online, or how did that? You're pitching this, like, I'm just curious, like, because somebody might also sit there with an idea, it's like, okay, I have an idea, where would I pitch this? How did it start for you?
WhatsApp here is very famous, and I believe almost every sort of big community have their own WhatsApp group. So when you found them, I was like, yeah, hey Google, show me the best communities for startups. And then he was like, yeah, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. There is a very nice community called, for example, How About? They have a great WhatsApp community. I joined. And then I joined 2, 3, 4 other communities. And then by the time I wanted to say, okay, let's create my own sort of tribe. So I brought together every single person that I knew, and then I created this group, and then I posted in that group. It got bigger by the time, so I was not aware who is in and who is not, and that's how it started.
Okay, that's actually a pretty smart approach. That's not something very tangible somebody could try, with their own network, with people who might be interested.
It depends on personality of people. Some people, I call them enablers or connectors. And I believe I'm one of the connectors. I always want to bring people together. When I talk to you, I constantly get ideas. Yeah, I have to connect Franzi with this guy, with that woman. And I like bringing people together and creating meaningful connections. And that's how it started.
That's why we are very alike in this one.
Can see that.
I love that. I love how you have been very proactive, connecting with people. That's also something a lot of other founders are saying, like, build meaningful and trustful connections, not just going, shaking hands and never following up, but actually being invested. And especially if there is a meaningful way of collaborating, that makes it, of course, it's a win-win, right? Like we have an idea and this might fit into someone else's area as well.
And if I can add on that, I believe in giving before receiving. When I meet people, this is maybe just my personality, I always genuinely try or think how I can help. Whom should I connect this person to? How can I be helpful? How can I'm very happy to dedicate time, share my experience, help someone with something else, and I never expect something in return. People sometimes do not believe this, but they could see it in me. I'm a very authentic, spontaneous person. And when I do this, for some reason, I get other things that I have never expected to coming to my direction, which are extremely helpful.
Yeah. The next topic would be a little bit more deep dive onto government programs. So I'm aware that you're part of at least one of them, Founders HQ here in Dubai. Maybe you can talk a little bit about how maybe that program has helped you to grow your business or grow your network. And also if you're part of any other government programs, accelerators, communities, anything you find helpful sharing with anyone who's just getting started.
Yeah. So I think I can give a very good example of how I find out things. One of the events I went to was organized by an organism called Sheraa in Sharjah, and that's Sharjah Entrepreneurship sort of center. Amazing guys, amazing communities. One of the good platforms is called One Entrepreneur or One Entrepreneur, very active community of entrepreneurs. And that's, thanks to them, I found out about Sheraa. And when I went to one of the public events of Sheraa, I met a very good mentor and we stayed in touch. And the next time we met, she was like, yeah, Achraf, have you heard about this Dubai Founders HQ thing? They opened up a couple of months ago, great space. And then I noted that down. I made my research. I saw that they are having this application page where you could apply. I did, of course. I've been looking for a great place to work from, which has a life, which has a soul. Most co-working spaces and cafes feel a bit either too corporate or without a soul or just empty. I could not connect with others. And I've tried.
Because everyone is busy working on their own projects.
Yeah, either everybody is so isolated or everybody's on the phone or there is no one.
Okay.
And when I got accepted to this Dubai Founders HQ, it was one of the aha moments I found, because I believe so far, this is my experience, they are the best in terms of community engagement. They knew how to select like-minded people and how to create synergies, how to trigger synergies between these people through small events like, I don't know, fuck up nights, members lunch. They invite a lot of people with a lot of experience to share with founders. So when I got to know about this initiative and then I was accepted after application, I think I spent more time there than in my own house.
I mean, that's where we also met there last week. It's a fantastic place. I completely understand that's a really vibrant energy.
Yeah, you feel alive. You feel alive there. And I have been to many programs and co-working spaces, and this is one of the best ones I found here.
Great.
There are other ones that I've tried, not that deeply. There is In5 here. They also organize, I'm not a member, but they organize events every now and then. Yes. There is Sheraa, of course, which is in Sharjah, but their impact is way beyond Sharjah. They have their own acceleration and incubation programs. I believe also in the global players. So one of the, or some of the most known accelerators or programs worldwide is 500 Global, a very famous accelerator, and Plug and Play. So wherever I find these guys, I automatically apply. I automatically try to join their public events. They're great. They are very skilled. They have a lot of expertise, and they are very inclusive in terms of community. And I believe they have a couple of programs here, but it's been not very active lately. One of them is co-organized by Creators HQ. This is also one of the good communities I came across. And I came across them when I followed this very famous YouTube channel called Yes Theory. Do you know them? They are one of the best ones. Their vision is to seek discomfort in your life and try new things. And they are 4 guys. They've been through a lot in their lives, and they try things and they spread positive vibes wherever they go. So one of the founders of this channel was actually invited by Sheraa in one of their most famous events called CEF, Sharjah Entrepreneurship Festival. His name is Ammar. I got to know him, and then we got to follow each other on social media. And he posted the thing about Creators HQ. So I was like, what is this? I liked the concept. I applied. I got accepted, and now they organize some activities. And 500 Global, the accelerator I told you about, did something actually with Creators HQ, which was one of the best programs I saw. So yeah, there is also Hub 71 in Abu Dhabi. I believe it's more focused on pre-Series A, Series A plus startups that are mostly involved in finance, Abu Dhabi finance.
Yes.
Yeah, I think those are the programs.
Amazing. So I mean, I think today you just dropped like one great program, event, community after another. That's really great. Some of them have been also recommended by others. And yeah, Creators HQ is where we met at the open house. So definitely only for making that great connection, that was definitely worth going there.
Yeah.
Amazing. We'll list all of the links also below in the show notes so that then those listeners can also check out whichever one is relevant. As you said, they have different focus areas of obviously creators for more the content creators, founders, probably for all the founders, everyone who has their own company, and then Sharjah.
Absolutely. Yeah,
it's also just like half an hour, right? It's like not even like super far Sharjah from Dubai, so it's
Yeah,
not
I mean, if you wake up early, it's even less.
to avoid the traffic, you mean?
Right?
Yeah, okay, I mean, we have soon air taxis, right? So that should be solved.
Hopefully.
Come to the community question, if you're ready.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's
Question
start.
is, what is the weirdest piece of advice you ever got that actually worked?
I remember, there is a very good example. When you start working on a project, you become obsessed with it, especially in the early years. Like you work day and night, you try to make things happen, you overwork yourself. And I was listening to one of the most inspiring people I've met. He's a founder himself. And he said something that stayed, he said it like 3 or 4 years ago, and it stayed in my mind until now. He said, it sounds counterintuitive, but if you start a project, don't treat it as a sprint. Don't start with full motivation, with full speed in the beginning, because you will pay the price later on, and the price will be burnout, losing the complete or the overall vision, your body, abusing your health. Don't do that. It sounded for me, I was like, this is my project. This is the golden years. I have to do everything. I have to achieve more every day. And then I was at the edge of my limits. And then it stayed in my mind. I mean, treat your project as a marathon and not a sprint. This is, I think it was a weird advice back then, but now I experience it firsthand, and I'm one of the believers of this.
So what would you actually have done differently if you would say it now?
I would have dedicated more time to my personal life. I would have treated work-life balance more seriously. What I've done impacted my family, impacted myself. I neglected my body, I neglected my mental health, I neglected my wife, my parents, and it was a mistake. Thankfully now I'm more aware of it, I'm more conscious. I mean, there is always a moment in time that you get aware of things and then start right away applying them.
Yes, true. And sometimes we have to go through those phases, even though we think we know better. As you said, like, who else would do it, especially if you start something on your own or only with a small team.
Yeah.
But then maybe focusing on, so I'm listening to a book right now, which is called The 10X Mentor. It's actually also talking about don't necessarily work more, but focus on the tasks which have the biggest impact.
Yes.
Which is like the 80-20 rule goes in a similar direction. It's like you can work all day and get stuff done, but what are the very critical tasks? Those are usually the ones we are avoiding, which are the impactful ones, and focusing on that. But this requires, I mean, first of all, self-discipline and being able to identify those. And then, as you said, sometimes, especially if we come from a corporate world, you as well, there it was about you're being paid for 40 hours. So make sure you fill your week with whatever is there.
Exactly.
And when you're switching and doing your own thing, it's not necessarily you have to work 40 hours.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's even more, but it's more about how do you fill that with the most impactful task.
Can I recommend a couple of books?
Absolutely.
Speaking of how you manage your time, one of the books that changed my life it's called Make Time. I love straightforward books. Like they give concrete things, they test stuff, and this book was obviously written by two engineers. They worked at Google back then, and they spent around 12 years testing techniques within their teams that increase productivity. And they came up with this book, very, very insightful, enriching book. They said, if you wanna, one of the things that stayed in my mind, there are 3 things that are most important to you during the day. The first one is a highlight. What is the one thing that you want to do that day? It does not have to be work related. Your highlight could be, I'm making dinner for my friends tonight because I'm inviting them over. And then once you do that highlight, there is, every one of us has this energizer sort of reward. So some people like me get energized by connecting with people, having meaningful conversations or connections during the day, like a small coffee break, something like this. It energizes me and I feel more motivated to carry on the day. And the third part, which is also the most important one, it's before you sleep. Before you sleep, your mind starts doing a very important task that will affect your personality by time. it's done like 100 times, and it's assessing your day and what went wrong in that day. I mean, we are designed by default to point out negative things than positive ones. Yeah, it was crucial for our survival. At the end of the day, the mind starts intuitively looking for things that did not work, and you will, I mean, unless you had a very successful day, which is, I mean, cannot happen every day, right? You will sleep with a sort of doubt. Yeah, I should have done this better. I should have done that. In that period, consciously think about the positive things that you did so that you can sleep on a positive note, and that will impact your subconscious mind for the next day.
So like a gratitude journal.
Gratitude and also being conscious. It's okay to do mistakes. It's okay to have bad days. Be conscious of that. I've heard a study that we spend, in 24 hours, we spend on average 2 or 3 minutes being conscious, like doing actual conscious decision. The 24 hours minus 3 minutes, it's us being on autopilot, which is crazy. The second book is called The Mountain Is You. It treats very insightful mechanisms that we inherited, like limiting beliefs or belief system. The first 6 years after we were born, those are the most impactful years for us in our personality. So assessing that, this book gives you a journey through how your mind is connected and why it is the way like that, and it will make you think things that you took for granted before. Like, for example, I realized that I have a negative relationship with money, so I become conscious of that, and I was trying to solve that because it impacted my business as well. So yeah, these 2 books. The last one is called Positive Intelligence. It's from a researcher called Shirzad something from Stanford. He spent 20 years identifying a belief system that each one of us has, and it's called the saboteurs from the word sabotage. And we have the spectrum of 7 saboteurs, and each one of us has a part of each of the 7 saboteurs. There are the avoider, there is the hyperachiever, there is the victim. There are a lot of saboteurs, and each one of us, if you know your top 3 saboteurs, he gives techniques how to identify them, and also he gives you later on solutions how to face your saboteurs so that you can thrive in life.
Wow, great. I love reading books, so now I have 3 more on my list. That's fantastic. The last question: what is one big challenge or like the next level you want to unlock in business?
A lot. Where do I start?
Only one? That's the challenge for you, one?
Yeah, so I think we are a young company, 4 years old, and we are operating in 4 countries. That's a very ambitious plan. We are 6 people, so we have to make this work. As simple as that. For us, it's, I mean, the first 3 years when we only operated in Tunisia, we succeeded in creating processes and SOPs and guidelines. So we developed this kind of model that works. And introducing many countries to the platform kind of shaked everything and brought everything together. And now we are on a journey to actually survive our expansion and do it especially the right way. So one of the challenges, for example, my co-founder and I moved in here while the team is in Tunisia, so we work remotely. I believe in remote work. I believe in hybrid work. And it comes with challenges. So we have to make this happen, like this remote/hybrid culture of work while covering many countries in advance.
Okay. So you want to basically stay with the same team size, stabilizing the processes, and then probably also further expanding, growing the team?
Yeah, that's one of the options that we should consider. I still have no idea how to operate this, in which direction we should grow, whom should I hire. It's a lot of things that we are figuring out that are extra on our plate besides managing our sort of daily business.
The actual business.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. Best of luck with that. I mean, it's exciting as well, right? To figure out where the next journey goes.
It's part of life. I love figuring out things. I love being flexible with my day. I love making decisions that actually are impactful. I believe in creating impact. I think the MENA region or the Middle East, the GCC region, needs more impactful projects and impactful entrepreneurs who actually want to do something that will be positive on the communities here, on the society, on the countries. We need more of that.
So how can people connect with you and learn more about your projects and about your travels?
We are on social media. I'm very branded today because I had an interview this morning. Sorry about
Coincidence. Sure.
Yeah, it's WildyNess.com, like Wildy and Ness. We are on Instagram, WildyNess. My name is Achraf Awadi. I'm very active in LinkedIn. I always share my failures in LinkedIn, unlike other people, which is quite unpopular, but it created a community of losers. So yeah, that's where we are.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. I will also put all the links below so that people can reach you on whichever platform they prefer. So I will definitely check out your LinkedIn profile. I'm very curious about that. And I'm also happy to share some of my failures as well. Isn't that also part of growing, like trying things out and also realizing what doesn't work? And then you try the next thing. I find that exciting.
That's the normal way of life. And on platforms like LinkedIn, people got used to, over-branding stuff that they did. I watched like 1,000 reels about jokes about LinkedIn people. And then one of the things that resonated with a lot of people is by the end of the year, people tend to share their successes and what they did, how many countries they traveled to, I don't know. And I was like, yeah, I'm happy to share this December that I did only 5% of my objectives, like a big loser. And then I joined recently the Procrastinators Club because I'm moving my objectives from 2025 to 2026. They're basically the same. I did not change. I failed in this, I failed in that, and it was a very popular post.
I love that. Great. Amazing. Cool. Then we are wrapping up. We close things here with a high five. Yeah. And then we have some... I know you like coffee. Let's have some coffee.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Fanzi.
And if you have any questions or comments, leave them below in the comments. I'm reading every single one of them. This will help us shape future episodes of the Dubai Builder podcast.